The crystalline structure of Apex Haven floated majestically against the backdrop of Virane Prime, its medical bays gleaming with the most advanced technology the galaxy had to offer. From a distance, the station appeared to be the crown jewel of interplanetary healthcare, a beacon of healing in the vast emptiness of space. Yet beneath its sparkling exterior lurked a system built on prejudice and classification. Dr. Alina Voss adjusted her white coat as she stared through the viewport at the swirling gases of the planet below. She belonged to the Free Alliance, classified as Human Class 7, renowned throughout the quadrant for her expertise in emergency blood transfusions. Her hazel eyes, perpetually alert, scanned the emptiness of space as if searching for answers to questions she hadn't yet formed. "Another day in paradise," she muttered to herself, the irony heavy in her voice. The year was 2487, and Apex Haven operated under the infamous Protocol 847 Delta, a system that prioritized care based on species classification rather than medical necessity. Classes 1 through 3, the harmless herbivores and non-threatening omnivores, received immediate attention. Classes 4 through 6 were treated based on resource availability. Class 7, which included humans like Alina, received standard care with certain limitations. But Class 8 and above, the apex predators, were relegated to palliative care only, deemed too dangerous and resource-intensive to save. Despite her frustration with the system, Alina maintained her commitment to the Hippocratic Oath, or at least the interspecies version she had sworn to uphold during her graduation from the Galactic Medical Academy. Every life deserves saving, regardless of classification. This belief had earned her both respect and suspicion among her colleagues. The soft blue light of her morning shift had just begun to illuminate the station when the emergency alert blared through the medical bay. Level 7 trauma, critical condition, arrival in Bay 4. All available medical personnel report immediately. Alina's pulse quickened as she grabbed her emergency kit and sprinted toward the trauma center. The corridors seemed endless as she pushed past orderlies and administrative staff, her mind already running through possible scenarios. Level 7. Trauma meant life-threatening injuries, often with minutes to spare. As she burst through the doors of Bay 4, she froze momentarily at the sight before her. Lying on the trauma table was not a Free Alliance citizen, as she had expected, but a massive Zanrakal warrior, an apex predator. Class 8. His 7-foot frame barely fit on the reinforced medical table, iridescent scales flickering weakly under the harsh medical lights. 2 security officers stood at attention near the entrance, hands hovering over their weapons. "What happened?" Alina demanded, approaching cautiously but professionally. A young Felian nurse named Lyra, her small frame dwarfed by the security officers, looked up from the biomonitor. Her fur patches glowed a nervous blue as she reported. "Genetically modified toxin. His blood can't coagulate. Vital signs deteriorating rapidly. Estimated survival time, 28 minutes. Before Alina could respond, Dr. Varric, the station's chief medical officer, strode into the room. His tall, rigid posture and cold eyes immediately dominated the space. "Dr. Voss," he said, his voice as sterile as the medical equipment around them. "Prepare palliative care, as per Protocol 847 Delta. Class 8 species are not eligible for emergency intervention. We must conserve resources." Alina felt her jaw tighten. "With all due respect, sir, we have the means to save him. I've treated toxin cases before." "Protocol is clear," Varric interrupted, his gaze unwavering. "This station operates under strict guidelines. Prepare comfort measures only." As Varric turned to leave, Alina quickly pulled up the toxin analysis on her datapad. Her eyes widened as she recognized the molecular structure. "This isn't just any toxin," she called out, causing Varric to pause at the doorway. "It's a Valran compound, specifically designed to target Class 8 physiology. And look at the anticoagulant effects. They're catastrophic. Varek turned slightly. His interest marginally piqued, despite himself. And your point? My point, Alina said, stepping closer to the display, is that I've seen this before in research journals. This toxin was designed as a biological weapon, and there's only one known neutralizing agent effective against it. Varek raised an eyebrow. Which is? Alina met his gaze steadily. Class 7 plasma. Human blood contains the specific antibodies that can neutralize this toxin. The room fell silent as the implications of her statement sank in. Lyra's fur patches shifted to a surprised purple, while the security officers exchanged uncomfortable glances. That's preposterous, Varek finally said. Even if true, Protocol 847 Delta explicitly forbids the use of Alliance resources for Class 8 patients beyond basic palliative care. The protocol forbids the use of station resources, Alina countered, her mind racing ahead. It doesn't prohibit personal donation. Varek's eyes narrowed. Dr. Voss, I strongly advise against whatever you're contemplating. This station operates under rules established for the protection of all species. One apex predator is not worth risking your career or your life. 26 minutes until cardiac failure, Lyra interjected softly, her eyes flicking between the biomonitor and the arguing doctors. Alina looked at the Zanrakal warrior on the table. His breathing was labored, his powerful body rendered helpless by the insidious toxin coursing through his veins. In that moment, she remembered her father's words from years ago. Medicine isn't about who deserves to live. It's about ensuring everyone has the chance to. I need to run additional tests, Alina said firmly. Lyra, assist me, please. Varek gave her a long, measured look. You have 5 minutes for your tests. Dr. Voss. Then we proceed with protocol. With that, he turned and left the trauma bay, his footsteps echoing in the sterile corridor. As soon as he was gone, Alina turned to Lyra. I need your help, and it goes beyond standard procedure. The Felian's fur patches flickered nervously. What are you planning? I'm going to save him, Alina replied, already moving to the storage unit. But I need to create a portable transfusion system. Can you access the synthesizer lab and find Eris? Lyra hesitated. The Atri microbiologist? She doesn't exactly like humans. She doesn't have to like us. She just needs to help us, Alina said, pulling equipment from the shelves. Tell her I need an antigen booster synthesized immediately. The formula is in my research database under Valran toxin study. As Lyra slipped out of the trauma bay, Alina turned her attention to the Zanrakal warrior. His silver eyes were half open now, watching her movements with predatory awareness, despite his failing body. I don't know if you can understand me, she said quietly, but I'm going to try to save you. It's against protocol, probably against my better judgment, and definitely against the rules of this station. She began to prepare a direct transfusion kit, modified for cross-species use. But sometimes rules need to be broken. The warrior made no response, but his eyes remained fixed on her, his breathing growing more labored with each passing minute. In the adjacent lab, Lyra found Eris hunched over a microscope, her slender Atri frame completely still as she focused on her work. The Atri were known for their analytical minds and unparalleled skills in microbiology, and their general disdain for what they considered emotional species. Auris, Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Voss needs your help. The Atri didn't look up. I am occupied with important research. It's about a Valran toxin, Lyra pressed, stepping closer. She needs an antigen booster synthesized immediately. This caught Eris's attention. She finally looked up, her large, luminous eyes narrowing. Valran toxin? Here? That's highly improbable. It's in a Zanrakal warrior in Trauma Bay 4, Lyra explained hurriedly. Dr. Voss believes human plasma can neutralize it, but she needs a booster to enhance the antibody effect. Eris was silent for a moment, calculating. The Valran have been experimenting with bioweapons designed to target specific class designations. This is concerning. She stood abruptly. I will assist, not for the human doctor, but for scientific documentation. Back in the trauma bay. Alina was preparing the transfusion equipment when the door slid open. She tensed, expecting Varric's return, but instead found Lyra and Eris entering with a small container of iridescent blue liquid. The antigen booster, Eris announced without preamble. It will enhance the neutralizing effect of human antibodies by approximately 73.4%. She paused, studying the Zonrakal with clinical interest. This toxin bears the signature of Valran Bioengineering. It appears they are testing their weapons on living subjects now. Thank you, Alina said, taking the container. Lyra, secure the door. We have about 19 minutes before complete system failure. As Lyra engaged the privacy lock, Alina began setting up the direct transfusion system. She connected one end to the port in the Zonrakal's massive arm, and then, taking a deep breath, inserted the other needle into her own vein. This goes against all standard medical protocols, Eris observed, though she made no move to stop Alina. Human blood is not compatible with Zonrakal physiology under normal circumstances. This isn't about compatibility, Alina explained, wincing slightly as the needle entered her arm. It's about the specific antibodies in human plasma that can neutralize the Valran toxin. The rest of the blood components will be filtered out through this membrane. She gestured to a semi-permeable filter she had installed in the transfusion line. As her blood began to flow through the system, Alina felt a slight dizziness wash over her. The machine hummed softly, separating her plasma and mixing it with Eris's antigen booster before delivering it into the Zonrakal's circulation. Vital signs? She asked, leaning against the medical table for support. Lyra checked the monitor. Heart rate stabilizing, but still critical. Blood pressure remains dangerously low. Alina nodded, fighting the lightheadedness. Increase the flow rate by 10%. We need to get enough antibodies into his system before the toxin reaches his cardiac nodes. Just as she adjusted the settings, the trauma bay door slid open with a forceful hiss. Varric stood in the entrance, flanked by 4 security officers, his face a mask of cold fury. Dr. Alina Voss, he said, each word precise and cutting. You are in direct violation of Protocol 847 Delta. Cease this unauthorized procedure immediately. Alina straightened as much as her connected state would allow. I cannot do that, sir. We're already seeing signs of improvement. This patient can be saved. This is not a patient, Varric snapped. This is a Class 8 apex predator, a species responsible for countless deaths across 3 sectors. Protocol 847 Delta exists for a reason. The protocol is wrong, Alina countered, her voice growing stronger despite the blood leaving her body. And this toxin isn't random. It's a Valran bioweapon specifically designed to target Class 8 species. This isn't just a medical emergency. It's evidence of attempted genocide. Varric's expression flickered momentarily. That's a serious accusation, Doctor. I have the molecular analysis to prove it, Eris interjected, stepping forward with her datapad. The toxin contains markers exclusive to Valran bioengineering facilities. This is not a natural compound. Varric hesitated, clearly torn between protocol and the implications of Eris's statement. Finally, he gestured to the security officers. Disconnect Dr. Voss from that equipment. This procedure ends now. As the officers moved forward, the Zonrakal warrior suddenly convulsed on the table, his massive body arching in pain. The biomonitor screamed with alerts as his vital signs spiked dangerously. He's going into toxic shock, Lyra cried, rushing to adjust the medication flow. It's a normal reaction to the antibodies attacking the toxin, Alina explained hurriedly, gripping the edge of the table to steady herself. "If you disconnect me now, he will die. Is that what you want, Varek? To let someone die when you have the means to save them?" The security officers looked uncertainly at Varek, awaiting orders. "The toxin is affecting his cardiac system," Alina continued, her voice growing more urgent. "My blood is his only hope. Are you willing to let protocol override the fundamental principle of medicine to preserve life?" Varek's jaw tightened. "You're risking your own life in the process. The amount of plasma needed to neutralize the toxin in a being his size could kill you." "Then that's my choice to make," Alina replied steadily. "As a doctor, as a human, as a sentient being who believes that all life has value." For what seemed like an eternity, the room was silent, except for the beeping of monitors and the hum of the transfusion equipment. Then, slowly, the Zonarkal's vital signs began to stabilize. His breathing became less labored, and the convulsions subsided. "Toxin levels decreasing," Lyra announced, her fur patches shifting to a hopeful green. 80% neutralized and counting." The security officers exchanged glances, clearly uncomfortable with their position. One of them, a young woman with the insignia of a recent academy graduate, stepped back slightly. "Sir," she said to Varek, "Protocol 847 Delta does state that in cases of suspected biological warfare, standard procedures may be superseded by security protocols. If this is indeed a Valran bioweapon—" Varek raised a hand to silence her, his eyes never leaving Alina's face. "You're gambling with more than just your career, Dr. Voss. The station's entire medical policy is at stake." "Then perhaps it's time for that policy to change," Alina replied, her voice growing weaker as more of her blood flowed into the transfusion system. "Every being deserves care, regardless of their classification." Suddenly, the biomonitor emitted a different tone, steadier, more rhythmic. "Pulse restored to normal parameters," the automated system announced. "Toxin neutralization at 92%. "He's stabilizing!" Lyra exclaimed, her voice filled with disbelief and excitement. "It's working!" Varek stood frozen, clearly conflicted. The evidence of success was undeniable, yet it contradicted everything the station's protocols had established. Before he could respond, the communication system chimed with an incoming message. "Chief Medical Officer Varek," a formal voice announced, "Ambassador Corral of the Free Alliance requests your immediate presence in Conference Room 1 regarding the Zonarkal patient and the suspected Valran bioweapon." The color drained from Varek's face. News had traveled fast, faster than he had anticipated. The involvement of a diplomatic representative changed everything. "This isn't over, Dr. Voss," he said, his voice low. "Maintain the patient's stability until I return." With that, he turned and left the trauma bay, the security officers following uncertainly behind him. As soon as they were gone, Alina sagged against the medical table, her strength waning. "Lyra, prepare a plasma substitute for me. I'm approaching my safe donation limit." Lyra worked quickly, connecting a bag of synthetic plasma to Alina's free arm. "This should help replace your volume, but you'll still need real blood components soon." "One problem at a time," Alina murmured, her eyes fixed on the Zonrakal warrior. His silver eyes were fully open now, watching her with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine despite her medical training. "Can you understand me?" she asked him directly. The warrior inclined his head slightly, a small but definite nod. "You've been poisoned with a Valran toxin," Alina explained, speaking clearly despite her fatigue. "We're using my blood, human blood, to neutralize it. The process is working, but it's not complete yet. You need to remain still." The Zonrakal's gaze never wavered from her face. Then, slowly, he raised one massive hand and placed it over his chest, a gesture of acknowledgement, perhaps even gratitude. "Remarkable," Aris commented, observing the interaction with scientific curiosity. Zanrakal warriors are notorious for their hostility toward all other species, particularly humans. Yet he seems to recognize your intervention. Pain and healing are universal languages, Alina replied softly. Classification systems aren't. The next hour passed in tense silence as Alina's blood continued to flow into the Zanrakal warrior system, gradually neutralizing the Valran toxin. Lyra monitored both patients carefully, ensuring that Alina didn't give too much, while confirming the warrior's steady improvement. Eris documented everything meticulously, her datapad filling with notes on the interaction between human antibodies and the alien toxin. Finally, when the biomonitor confirmed complete toxin neutralization, Alina disconnected the transfusion equipment with trembling hands. "It's done," she whispered, swaying slightly as she stood. Lyra quickly guided her to a nearby chair. "You need rest and replenishment. Doctor, you've lost a significant amount of blood." Before Alina could respond, the trauma bay door slid open once more. This time, it wasn't Varric who entered, but a tall, elegant woman in the formal attire of a Free Alliance diplomatic representative, Ambassador Corral. Her dark eyes surveyed the room swiftly, taking in the situation with practiced efficiency. "Dr. Alina Voss," she said, her voice carrying the weight of authority. "I've heard quite a story about your actions today." Alina tried to stand, but Lyra gently pressed her back into the chair. "Ambassador Corral, I can explain." The ambassador raised a hand. "No need. The Atri scientist, Eris is it, has already provided a comprehensive report on the Valran toxin and your intervention." She moved closer, studying the Zanrakal warrior with interest. "What I'm more curious about is why a Zanrakal commander of this rank was targeted with such a specific weapon." Alina blinked in surprise. "Commander, I didn't realize." "Commander Zanrakal of the Third Fleet," Ambassador Corral confirmed. "One of the most respected warriors in the Zanrakal hierarchy. His death would have had significant political implications." The warrior, now conscious enough to follow the conversation, inclined his head toward the ambassador in acknowledgement of his identity. Dr. Varric was insistent that Protocol 847 Delta be followed. Ambassador Corral continued, her tone carefully neutral. He argued quite passionately that resources should not be wasted on a Class 8 patient, regardless of their status or the circumstances of their injury. Alina felt a chill at the implication. "And your response, Ambassador?" A slight smile touched Corral's lips. "I informed him that if any disciplinary action were taken against the medical staff who saved the commander's life, the Free Alliance would consider it a direct violation of the Interspecies Medical Treaty of 2476. All medical cooperation between the Alliance and this station would be immediately suspended." Relief washed over Alina like a wave. "Thank you, Ambassador." "Don't thank me yet, Dr. Voss," Corral replied, her expression growing more serious. "There will be an investigation into this incident, not just your actions, but the origins of this toxin and how it found its way onto a Free Alliance medical station. The Valran representatives are already crying foul, claiming no knowledge of any bioweapon program." "I have the molecular analysis," Eris interjected, stepping forward. "The toxin signature is unmistakably Valran. They cannot deny the evidence." Ambassador Corral nodded. "Your expertise will be invaluable during the investigation. Scientist Eris," she turned back to Alina. "As for you, Doctor, I suggest you get some rest. You've done enough for one day." As if on cue, the door slid open again to reveal a medical team with a hover stretcher. "We're here to transfer the patient to the intensive care unit," the lead medic announced. "Proceed," Ambassador Corral instructed. "And ensure that Dr. Voss receives proper treatment for blood loss as well." As the team carefully transferred the Zanrakal commander to the stretcher, his silver eyes found Alina once more. With effort, he raised his hand and pressed it to his chest again, then extended it toward her, a gesture of respect that transcended species boundaries. Alina, too weak to stand, mirrored the gesture from her chair. No words were needed. The connection between them, forged in blood and defiance of an unjust system, spoke volumes. 6 months later. Alina stood in the observation gallery overlooking the main reception area of Apex Haven. The station had changed dramatically since that fateful day. Protocol 847 Delta had been officially repealed following a thorough investigation that revealed not only the flaws in the classification-based care system, but also the Valran conspiracy to eliminate key figures from so-called dangerous species. In its place, the Multi-Species Medical Initiative had been implemented, prioritizing emergency care based on medical necessity rather than species classification. The transformation hadn't been easy. Centuries of prejudice couldn't be erased overnight, but progress was undeniable. "Admiring your handiwork, Dr. Voss?" a familiar voice asked. Alina turned to find Ambassador Corral standing beside her, gazing down at the diverse array of beings moving through the reception area below. "Hardly my handiwork alone," Alina replied with a smile. "It took a village, or rather, a station." "Don't be modest," Corral said. "Your actions that day set everything in motion. One doctor, one patient, one stand against an unjust system." Alina shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. "I just did what any doctor should do." "How is the investigation proceeding?" "The Valran representatives have been formally censured by the Interspecies Council," Corral informed her. "Their bioweapon program has been dismantled under international supervision, and reparations are being negotiated for affected species." "And Varek?" A slight grimace crossed Corral's face. "Still adjusting to the new reality. He's been reassigned to administrative duties, while completing a mandatory course in interspecies ethics. Some minds take longer to change than others." Before Alina could respond, her communication device chimed with an incoming message. "Dr. Voss to Conference Room 3. Your 1400 appointment has arrived." "Duty calls," Alina said, straightening her medical coat, now adorned with the insignia of Medical Director of Multi-Species Care, her new position following the station's reorganization. "Indeed," Corral agreed, "though I believe you'll find this particular duty more pleasure than burden." Curious. Alina made her way to Conference Room 3. As the door slid open, she found herself face-to-face with Commander Zanrakal, now fully recovered and resplendent in formal Zanrakal diplomatic attire rather than battle armor. Beside him stood Lyra and Eris, both looking distinctly pleased with themselves. "Dr. Alina Voss," the commander said, his deep voice resonating in the space between them. "The one who shares my blood." Alina inclined her head respectfully. "Commander, it's good to see you fully recovered." "Thanks to you," he replied, taking a step forward. "I have come to inform you that I have been appointed Peace Ambassador for the Zanrakal Collective, the first in our history." "Congratulations," Alina said, genuinely impressed. The Zanrakal were notorious for their warrior culture. A diplomatic position was a significant departure from tradition. "My first act as ambassador," Zanrakal continued, "was to establish a medical exchange program between our worlds. Zanrakal healers will train here at Apex Haven, and Alliance medical personnel will be welcomed on our homeworld." Alina's eyes widened. "That's unprecedented." "As was your action," he replied simply. "One drop of blood can change the course of galaxies. Dr. Voss." Lyra stepped forward, her fur patches glowing a warm, happy orange. "We've been working on the exchange program protocols for weeks," she explained excitedly. "Eris has developed a comprehensive database of cross-species medical compatibilities that will revolutionize emergency care throughout the quadrant." "And I have merely followed the evidence," Eris added, though there was a hint of pride in her usually clinical voice. Science does not support the classification biases that have dominated our medical approaches. Logical analysis demands a more integrated system. As they discussed the details of the new program, Alina felt a sense of accomplishment, unlike anything she had experienced in her medical career. What had begun as a desperate attempt to save one life had blossomed into a movement that was transforming interspecies medicine across the galaxy. Later that evening, after the meetings had concluded and the plans had been set in motion, Alina returned to the observation gallery. The station was quieter now, the daytime bustle replaced by the more subdued rhythm of night shift operations. Below, she could see medical teams of mixed species working together seamlessly, attending to patients without regard for classification. "Penny for your thoughts," Lyra said, joining her at the viewport, her fur gently glowing in the dimmed lighting. "Just reflecting," Alina replied, "on how much has changed, and how much still needs to change." Lyra nodded, her large eyes taking in the scene below. "Do you remember what you said to Varric that day? About every being deserving care, regardless of classification?" "I remember." "You were right," Lyra said simply. "And now everyone knows it." As they stood in comfortable silence, watching the diverse tapestry of life flowing through the station, Alina thought about the chain of events that had led to this moment. One emergency, one decision, one stand against injustice, and a galaxy beginning to heal from centuries of prejudice. In the distance, she could see Commander Zanrakal in conversation with a group of medical students, his imposing presence now a symbol of diplomacy rather than warfare. Nearby, Eris was demonstrating a new diagnostic tool to a mixed species team, her scientific precision breaking down barriers that politics couldn't touch. And here, beside her, stood Lyra, once a timid nurse afraid to challenge the system, now a confident leader in interspecies medical training. "Sometimes," Alina mused aloud, "all it takes is one drop of blood to plant the seed of change across an entire galaxy." Lyra's fur brightened in agreement. "And the courage to give it when everyone tells you not to." Together, they watched as Apex Haven continued its transformation from a station divided by classification to a true haven for all species, a microcosm of what the galaxy itself might one day become. In the medical director's office that had once belonged to Varric, a small vial of preserved blood sat in a specially designed stasis field, a reminder of the day when one doctor had defied an unjust system to save a life deemed unworthy of saving. Beside it lay the formal repeal of Protocol 847 Delta, bearing the signatures of representatives from every species currently served by the station. The document's title, inscribed in the universal language of galactic diplomacy, read simply, "All life has value." It was a beginning,